Well, let's get into the reaction of Jeff Metcalf, the father of Austin Metcalf, who, of course, was murdered by Karmelo Anthony. I say murdered because that is now a matter of a jury's conviction after he was very quickly convicted this week. Matt, I know you were following it closely. But that first of all, the defense put up like what, a half day's case or something.
Well, what was the most amazing part was the only character witness effectively was his own mom, which means his own father didn't testify to his character. Not a single relative, not a single teacher, not a
Has
single
anyone
coach.
Located his father? Is he around?
Well, no,
I guess
his father.
Jeff Metcalf ripped him. Jeff Metcalf.
The father. Yeah. His father. The family actually is together, and the father's clearly retarded. If you listen to the interviews, not surprising. but again, as I was saying, not one teacher, coach, religious figure. If their family goes to church, I don't know. But they could not find a single person to testify to his character, which I think says a lot.
Well, Karmelo was quickly convicted. It was like a 3-hour jury deliberation or something. Convicted on that murder charge, sentenced to 35 years, eligible for parole after half the sentence, so 17 and a half years. Was eligible for life in prison. Jury considered some mitigating factors, his age, his clean criminal record, all that. But during all of the legal proceeding, Austin's father, Jeff Metcalf, had a court-imposed gag order on him. He was not free to speak publicly about all of this. Now that the trial has concluded, he is free to speak publicly, and he is taking full advantage of that newfound freedom. So his first interview since the murder went to independent journalist Sarah Fields. And Jeff Metcalf, as part of this interview, really ripped everyone. He ripped Karmelo Anthony's family. He ripped the school superintendent. He ripped, of course, Karmelo himself. He ripped those who have called him racist or otherwise smeared or attacked his family. And in doing so, he was ripping the people who seemingly want him. Sorry, I pulled up the watermelon felon photo, which I did not create. I just found courtesy of Adolf Elmer, Hitler Elmer on X. Yeah. Anyway, great image from, this is proper use of AI, not making kissing videos, okay? Anyway, it went to Sarah Fields, and Sarah Fields is emphasizing to people reposting this clip, he wasn't just declaring Karmelo the watermelon felon out of nowhere. It's the fact that so many critics and people attacking him and his family want him to be racist. They desperately want him to be racist so they can reframe the entire nature of what was a murder. And so he's now saying, okay, you want me to be racist? Here's some racism for you. I'm going to call Karmelo the watermelon felon. Here's a broader context of his commentary.
I respect everyone until they disrespect me. I've been disrespected by so many people, so many times while I've had to sit here and take it. I'm going to tell you right now, Charleston White, you think you're funny? We'll see who's laughing. Drew Anthony, you're a coward, and you raised one. Kayla, you drunk.
That's his mom.
What'd you do to that boy to make him stab somebody? My God, what kind of mother are you? Hey, Kevin Hayes, you fucking liar. Day after it happened. How many lies did you sit and type up on your keyboard, you big keyboard warrior? You a big tough man. You still live in Baton Rouge? Remember you said you'd come to Frisco, buddy? You supposed to find me. I told you we could sit down and talk. That's all you do. Talk, Mr. Squeaky Clean. You're the only one in your family without a damn record. I guess that's something to brag about in your culture. You people hang your hat on the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Let me make one up. Y'all can let me make something racist up so y'all can go viral. I got a new name for Mello, okay? Because he was such this little boy y'all were trying to portray. How about watermelon felon? How's that one strike you? I hope he enjoyed his first night in that cell last night, because he's going to have many nights to think about what the fuck he did. I forgave him so I don't carry the hate and the anger, so I don't get ate up like cancer and kills you from the inside. It's like me drinking poison and hoping it kills you. It doesn't work that way.
That's unacceptable.
I think that becoming a racist is a perfectly acceptable response to what happened to him. Like, I don't know.
A lot.
When you see all the parents immediately forgive the killer, and not the way he's saying, like doing it's a virtue signal, when you compare that to like a Muslim becoming a terrorist because someone killed their family, I almost respect the terrorist more than the person trying to placate the woke mob. Like, I don't support it, but it's actually on a hierarchy, it's somehow more respectable than trying to placate these people.
Yeah. And to many of the black racial activists, that commentary there, of course, they're all mad about it. Again, you're supposed to be more mad about his supposed racism than the murder.
Yeah.
But they're making ridiculous claims like, oh, clearly Jeff Metcalf is racist, therefore Austin Metcalf was racist, therefore Karmelo Anthony was justified. Well, number one, no, any commentary from anybody after the trial is not grounds for appeal. They act like this is somehow going to reverse the Karmelo Anthony conviction. No, he can be as pissed off and as rude as he wants to be, because the conviction of Karmelo Anthony was not made with any consideration of the personal opinions of Jeff Metcalf, which were withheld through the entire duration of that trial. And even if Jeff Metcalf, to your point, if he is racist now, which, you sent me some additional commentary of his.
Did something happen? Well, the additional commentary is, I think it's a fake video. The one we talked about in the Discord.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the segment on Newsmax, which I want to play too.
Sorry. Yeah. Yes, there was a just so people know what I'm referencing. There was a video that circulated like 6 months ago purporting to show him using the N-word, but I didn't think about it until I saw the one you just played. So then I re-looked it up and realized it was like some AI
I think that
thing.
One is fake, but these are 100% real.
Because he could, if the gag order was in effect, he couldn't have been speaking anyway.
Yeah.
So.
On this point, if anyone is actually entitled to a little racial bias, it's maybe the guy, like you said, whose son was murdered by a black guy, and then a bunch of black guys stood outside the courthouse and threatened people on racial terms. And oh, by the way, in the meantime, he tried to go to the press conference of the family of the guy who killed his son and just stand there silently and pray, and they kicked him out and told him he was an aggressor. There's been a lot of KTLA behavior that Jeff Metcalf has been subjected to over the last year and change. So even if he is racist now, was he always racist? I think he's experienced a few things, and Jeff Metcalf is not holding back, nor should any father in his position. But he goes on Newsmax.
This is good.
And he says, hey, I saw a bunch of orangutantrums outside the courthouse, and they seem to be demographically consistent.
Weren't these people grasping that justice was served here?
You'd have to ask them. My opinion is they are of low IQ, no moral compass whatsoever, blinded by race, and generally a nuisance to society. The actions of these people outside the courthouse, I don't have to say a word. Their character shows through, and that's all I'll say. And to be honest, every video I've seen is a certain demographic. I don't see other people acting like this.
He's absolutely right.
So
he's noticing.
And I'll emphasize too, because I think people forget, and I want to bring up that story. It's not just the fact that his son was murdered, which would justify the way he feels anyway. It's not just the fact that there were black racial activists outside of the trial attacking other white people on the basis of race, which we'll get to with Abe, the white monster patriot, in a little bit. It's the fact that he actually made efforts toward resolution.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean the Karmelo family was hosting these press conferences, or a press conference, through the representation of a guy called Dominique Alexander. And this was last spring. This story's dated May of last year, May 6, 2025. They have these press conferences. Jeff Metcalf is there with the intent and the practice of being quiet, praying, hoping to hear what they have to say. He didn't go there to disrupt their event, and disrupted it at no point. Instead, they kicked him out, and they said that he was being disrespectful and aggressive, even that his appearance was a disrespect to the dignity of his son. So they're attacking him for his mere presence, saying that he's actually disrespecting his son, who, again, this guy's client murdered.
Yeah.
But the act of disrespect is Jeff Metcalf's mere presence. And by the way, what did this family do in part with these press conferences? They raised some $600,000+ to spend on ostensibly legal fees, but now Karmelo Anthony's broke, he says. He needs help with his appeal. What'd they spend the money on? They're raising money off this disrespect.
I wonder, is he trying to argue that me as an adult individual has no assets, whereas even if his parents do, because he doesn't, he can get a public defender. Because his parents must be in a position where they're like, we know we're not going to win on appeal. So do we really want to burn $50,000? Is there any other way to get the appeal without doing that?
What happened to that money?
More than 50.
It needs to be investigated.
Because the thing is, the numbers I saw, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw that the parents' combined income was like $60,000 to $70,000, which they bought a house that's worth, I think it was like $1 million, like the million territory. So there's no way they can afford that mortgage on $60,000 to $70,000 a year. So they have to be using the funds to pay for that.
By the way, Jeff Metcalf was also swatted several times, death threats through the last year. So attacked personally, and his family attacked too. So is Jeff Metcalf seemingly fatigued? It seems so. I would agree that he is.
I'm fatigued. This didn't even happen to me.
If anybody is right to be fatigued, it would be Jeff Metcalf. The other thing I wanted to emphasize in closing is what you brought up. When he says he forgives, he does mean for his sake, not for Carmelo Anthony's sake. You heard him mention this a little bit in the Watermelon Felon clip, but I want to emphasize it so that people understand, because a lot of times you hear this like, oh, the parents immediately come out and forgive. Oh, that, they should be tougher. They should demand justice. They should demand accountability, which I agree. We've seen a lot of these seemingly soft parents of murdered children in recent years, but I don't think Jeff Metcalf is one. Number one, because he's achieved the justice that he's looking for here, or at least most of it. I know he thinks the sentence is a little bit light, and he says he intends to speak at any upcoming or future parole hearing for Carmelo in the future. But number two, his reasons for forgiveness, and I actually believe this and agree with this, and I think there's a lot of wisdom in what he's saying. Even if you don't think the right thing is to forgive someone for their sake, to relieve them of the burden of the things that they have done wrong, in this case, murder, a significant wrong, it's a good thing to do for oneself so that it doesn't poison you. And that's really what Jeff Metcalf is talking about. Hey, this isn't about Carmelo. This is about refraining from poisoning myself.
Jeff Metcalf finally had a chance to read the words he's been writing in a notebook to address his son's killer.
You said, people think that grief is sadness, but it's not. It's rage.
Oh.
Pure, unfiltered rage. You failed yourself. You failed your parents. You failed society. You don't belong in this community.
That's correct. When I woke up this morning, it was a very different feeling. When I woke up, I felt like 1,000,000 pounds had been lifted off my shoulders. Because I used to wake up every morning with this anxiety, with this feeling of dread. And this morning was the first day I woke up with a feeling of peace, comfort, tranquility that I haven't experienced in 14 months. And I felt Austin.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. And I don't know what it's like to have a murdered son. I could only imagine the pain. But I certainly understand his point that you need to find ways to process that before it destroys you. In addition to, keep in mind, he has another son too. I mean, yeah. Austin had his twin brother Hunter, and as part of this interview with CBS, Jeff describes the worst part of the trial for him, which is watching some body cam video that exists of the aftermath and hearing his son Hunter cry out in agony, watching the death of his twin brother, and knowing that as a father, he wasn't there and couldn't do anything about it. And if you don't find a way to manage that grief, that anger, all of those negative emotions, it will consume you. And I am sure, I don't know Jeff Metcalf. I don't know Austin Metcalf. They seem like a pretty solid family, though. And I know that wherever Austin Metcalf is now, he would not want his dad to be consumed in all of those negative emotions. He would want him to carry on in service to that family. And I know that a lot of this segment was kind of a jokey stuff, but in the context of a murder, it's obviously very serious. I really appreciate what Jeff Metcalf said in these interviews. I think it's actually right on, and I think his rage is justified, but I think it's philosophically sound. I think there's a lot of wisdom in what he's saying.